Hello lovely viewers, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful News official YouTube channel. As Bill Spencer finally discovers the heartbreaking truth about his only biological son, Liam, the Bold and the Beautiful has gone through a roller coaster of emotions. Following weeks of Liam's covert fight with what he thought was a fatal brain tumor, Bill, overcome with dread, shame, and paternal love, makes the decision to spend all he has in an attempt to rescue Liam. In order to provide Liam access to state-of-the-art therapies and clinical knowledge, he makes arrangements for him to be moved from the typical hospital ward to a prestigious research institution. But that choice sets off a series of events that are much more startling than even Bill's worst nightmares. Family and friends came together to support Liam after he initially passed out at the Spencer estate. The local hospital's first scans revealed a potentially fatal intracranial tumor. Physicians verified that palliative therapies could only extend his life for a few more months at most, and that the tumor was incurable. Liam only told Finn and Steffi about the illness, keeping his young father in the dark. Bill was kept in the dark despite their entreaties until events compelled the truth to come to light. When Bill learned of Liam's danger, his response was both spectacular and quick. Demanding answers and access to the greatest treatment available, he barged into the hospital. Bill used his enormous resources to start the transfer process right away to a private research facility after realizing that hospital bureaucracy and normal procedures would restrict the alternatives. In his imagination, this new institution was the final hope, a location where Liam may have a shot thanks to experimental techniques that might not be offered in public hospitals. Bill's time and financial commitment were clear within days of Liam's arrival at the private clinic. The well-meaning but financially strapped cardiologist, Dr. Grace Buckingham, was said to have arranged a covert contract with the research institution and to have stood to benefit greatly from her involvement in Liam's case. Bill's name appeared on the dotted line as Grace accepted a 7-figure money transfer in promotional material. Given Grace's previous record of unbiased patient care and professional ethics, many people found this transactional undertone to be troubling. The pivotal moment occurred when Liam's scans and medical records were examined by a group of experts that Bill personally chose. These doctors performed a new set of tests, free from the limitations of the first treatment team. They discovered no signs of a brain tumor or any associated disease, which shocked everyone. The whole Forrester Logan Spencer clan had been devastated, but there was just no tumor, no cancer, and no indication of an incurable ailment. Bill's relief soon turned to rage when he learnt that Leon's alleged cancer had no medical foundation. How could a deadly illness have been misdiagnosed in his son? More concerningly, how had Grace Buckingham contributed to the continuation of this fiction? An intense, bordering on obsessive, examination of Grace's activities began after Bill's faith in medical experts was abruptly destroyed. Bill's exclusive investigation revealed a troubling network of collaboration between Grace and a private pharmaceutical company. According to documents, Grace had made a covert deal with the company to facilitate Liam's hospital transfers, cover up hospital protocol violations, and ensure Liam's compliance in exchange for a large kickback. The deal allowed Grace to conduct an unapproved trial of an experimental drug on Liam. Disguised by a web of shell companies connected to the pharmaceutical company, the funds entered her personal accounts. Bill was so upset over the treachery that he set up a late-night meeting with Grace at her clinic. He exposed the proof, financial transactions, internal correspondence from the pharmaceutical business, and testimonials from lab workers who had seen Grace changing data to match the story of a fast-spreading tumor, all while facing her in the antiseptic brightness of examination lights. Grace's justifications were insincere. She said that she had never meant long-term damage, and that she had thought the experimental medication may benefit Liam. Bill, however, remained unmoved. There was no disputing the evidence of her dishonesty and deliberate misdiagnosis. Legal and regulatory authorities surrounded the pharmaceutical firm and the research center within 24 hours after Bill's encounter. Internal correspondence, financial information, and medical data were confiscated by investigators. Grace Buckingham was arrested on charges of conspiracy to perform human experiments without informed permission, medical misconduct, and fraud. The pharmaceutical company was subject to a thorough government inquiry and the suspension of its research licenses. Liam, who was originally upset by his father's involvement in concealing the plot, found some solace in the fact that he was not dying in the midst of the mayhem. He could feel the relief that washed over him. He was surrounded by friends and relatives who apologized for the suffering he had gone through. Bill, on the other hand, had the resentment of having trusted a colleague who had betrayed both his and Liam's faith, as well as the guilt of being kept in the dark. The consequences go beyond only the law. Executives discussed the effect on Forrester Creations' reputation, which had supported Grace's early engagement in the boardroom. Rumors about the incident circulated in the fashion industry of Los Angeles, with many people doubting the therapeutic ethics of private research clinics in affluent social circles. The experience tested Steffi and Finn's fortitude as a marriage and as medical professionals, highlighting the fragility of life and trust. Bill rescued his son's life and solidified his own complicated legacy by exposing Grace Buckingham and the pharmaceutical scam. Although his unrelenting quest for justice caused long-lasting harm to one's valued connections, it also served as a reminder of his unwavering fatherly affection. The plot thread acted as a stark reminder to viewers of the limits of medical ethics and the perils of putting one's own interests ahead of the well-being of others. The characters of the brave and the beautiful must re-establish their relationships on a basis of honesty and openness, while the legal actions against Grace and the pharmaceutical company advance. Once again, Bill's job has changed from media tycoon to guardian to whistleblower. By doing this, the story has weaved a warning about corporate greed, medical ethics, and the ability of a father's love to justify even the most heinous of plans. The escalating drama around Taylor Hayes' growing fears and the explosive potential of the Forresters' impending vacation to Italy will then be thoroughly examined. On a heated conversation with Donna Logan on the most recent episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful, Taylor Hayes unintentionally revealed her innermost worries, displaying a weakness that might jeopardize her carefully planned future with Ridge Forrester. Taylor's statements betrayed a maelstrom of concern about the prospect of Brooke Logan regaining her place in Ridge's heart, far from the calm psychiatrist we've come to know. This is not an idle worry. It's a full-blown panic attack masquerading as conversation, and it's laying the groundwork for some of the most suspenseful turns the show has yet to provide. Taylor's veiled jabs and calculated name drops heighten the suspense by suggesting that she is doing all in her power to keep her relationship together, but her strategies might backfire horribly. As viewers, we've seen this dance before, but with returning characters and foreign residents appending the relationships, the stakes seem greater this time. That crucial exchange with Donna, which went right to the core of Taylor's envy, was a masterpiece in open desperation. Normally so composed, Taylor couldn't help but ask about Brooke's participation in the glitzy Forrester Creations business trip to Italy, phrasing her inquiries in a feigned nonchalance. She also made a sarcastic comment about Brooke's enormous success overseas, especially in Italy, where audiences have always loved her lively personality. Let's remove the layers, however. This was a compliment. Rat was the one who spoke. The romantic setting for Ridge and Brooke's ardent reunions has long been Italy. From passionate confessions in the midst of ancient ruins to clandestine kisses under Tuscan suns, creating a new perspective. Imagine Taylor's eyes brightening at Brooke's grin at a Milan Fashion Week years ago as she relives those memorable times in her thoughts. Or their chance meetings in the canals of Venice, which people still talk about. As she pressed for specifics, her voice broke with stress, and her keen-eyed supporters didn't miss a beat. Comments flooded social media. After hearing rumors that Brooke would attend, one user pointed out that Taylor's sudden hurry to set a wedding date screamed insecurity. To further, Taylor may even be looking over her old therapy notes on attachment patterns and, paradoxically, applying them to her own life, since she fears that our IDG and Brooke's past is an irreversible link created during love adventures. Fans are giddy about this degree of openness, speculating that Ridge may become estranged from Taylor due to his need for familiarity, with his ex turning to a further level of intrigue. Taylor's overt reference to Nick Marone in her conversation with Donna gives the situation a delectable twist of manipulation. The fact that Ridge's half-brother has returned to Los Angeles is mentioned in passing. Although Taylor presented it as harmless rumors, the timing provides perfect suspense. She seems to be sowing seeds in Donna's head in the hopes that they would grow into distractions for Brooke. Nick has a complicated past with both ladies that might easily rekindle old passions because of his rough charisma and maritime heritage. Recall his brief but intense relationship with Taylor from 2007 to 2008, which led to the birth of their son Jack through that memorable IVF mishap where Taylor unintentionally carried Brooke's biological child, creating a new element here. His whirlwind marriage to Brooke from 2006 to 2007 was a union born out of shared adventures on the high seas. It's possible that Nick's return in June 2025 will feature a brand new Ventura luxury boat line, which draws inspiration from his nautical experience and portrays him as a reliable counterpoint to Ridage's chaotic environment. He has publicly stated his goal to interrupt Brooke's devastating cycle with Ridge, calling it a poisonous cycle of betrayals and reconciliations. In order to contrast Ridage's impetuous behavior, Nick can go deeper and share tales from his time abroad, such as exotic trips that have made him a more mature spouse. Taylor's plan of diverting Brooke towards Nick and keeping Ridge securely in her circle is highlighted by this well-executed drop. But when we examine this ruse, we see that Taylor underestimated Brooke's tenacity. Instead, Nick's presence can encourage Brooke to rebel, or worse for Taylor, make Ridge envious. Let's now examine the much-anticipated journey to Italy that has the potential to completely alter the Forrester world. This firm, which John was invited to by Eric Forrester, offers more than just a fashion deal and is situated against the breathtaking views of Capri and Naples. It is a powder keg of emotions just ready to burst. With teasers hinting at a heart-pounding scenario in which she risks danger, Brooke's involvement has everyone on edge. Maybe a boat trip gone awry, with a spectacular dive into the azure seas of the Mediterranean. Imagine Ridge leaping in valiantly, his arms around her in a flash of unadulterated passion that rekindles their renowned connection. This isn't just conjecture. Utilizing Italy's magic for pivotal narrative elements is part of the show's story history. Recall the disastrous 2012 wedding of Hope and Liam in Puglia. Ridge's heartbreaking keyhole peak in Rome in 2023, which confirmed Brooke as his everlasting fate, was marred by duplicity and tears. With creative touches, this vacation may include special Forrester previews in ancient villas where romantic evenings are enhanced by candlelight meals and moonlit strolls. There could be more to Eric's invitation, maybe encouraging Brooke to pursue her dream of design and purposefully adding to the tension. The fear is evident for Taylor. She is aware that the charm of Italy often exposes false pretenses and forces persons to face their own aspirations. Ridge's sentiments could become crystal clear if he rescues Brooke, leaving Taylor to struggle with rejection while her aspirations are in ruins. High-stakes action and emotional depth are expertly combined in this setting to keep viewers riveted to their screens. Last but not least, the fan base is roiling with hypotheses and responses that heighten the enthusiasm around these advancements. There are a lot of speculations on Twitter and online forums about how Taylor's jealousy can ruin her engagement by planning small-scale plots. Ridge and Kverdo are hopeful that Nick's homecoming would mark a new chapter in Brooke's life, out of the never-ending tug of conflict on the hilltop. According to one wild fan theory, Eric is secretly lusting for Taylor, referencing their brief 2013 relationship, and is using the trip to Italy to discreetly pursue her while diverting Brooke's attention, creating a brand new, fan-driven storyline. Some people theorize that Capri may be the source of a secret Forrester family secret, such as an ancient letter disclosing Ridge's unspoken Italian ancestry that links him to Brooke. However, the general consensus is to favor the traditional bridge, saving Brooke from harm. As they hug drenched, Taylor has an epiphany that condemns him to loneliness. With Team Bridge sharing for a reunion, and Team Taylor hoping for a surprise where she comes out stronger, possibly going on her own adventures after heartbreak, your polls reveal mixed loyalties. The puzzling riddles surrounding Liam Spencer's dire medical situation and the dubious actions that could have ended his life will then be revealed. Liam Spencer's struggle for survival in the ever-changing world of the bold and the beautiful has taken an unexpected turn, focused on an astronomically expensive operation that is causing more concerns than optimism. Fans are on the edge of their seats as what began as a valiant fight against an unrelenting brain tumor has turned into a labyrinth of dishonesty, dubious morality, and possible foul play. The strong father Bill Spencer intervenes as the voice of reason and questions Dr. Grace Buckingham about any realistic way to rescue his son, but the doctor's answers only heighten the tension. The plot explores themes of trust, treachery, and the high price of miracles as Liam's life hangs in the balance after a near-fatal gunshot at the hands of the mysterious Luna, adding a new dimension to this story. The urgency is increased if Bill's inquiry turns out concealed medical papers from Liam's background that indicate a family history of uncommon neurological disorders that exacerbate this tumor's aggressiveness. Viewers are left wondering as the narrative develops if this life-saving technique is a true breakthrough or a deceptively cunning fraud that might go horribly wrong. The spoilers focus on the crucial aspect of Liam's precarious condition, depicting a multi-million-dollar medical procedure that went awry as his last attempt to overcome the odds. Already weak from the sneaky growth in his brain that has led to crippling migraines, blurred vision, and moments of disorientation, Liam had to deal with another nightmare when Luna's gunshot wound almost killed him in a startling altercation. As the tumor's growth threatens to cause irreparable harm, this double whammy has confined him to a sterile hospital room with blaring monitors and worried loved ones. Using his business tycoon persistence, Bill challenges Dr. Grace about novel therapies, maybe even looking into experimental technology like an aided neurosurgery that is said to be included in this expensive package. To add creative touches, picture Grace explaining a process that uses state-of-the-art nanotechnology to precisely target the tumor cells. However, her evasive behavior throughout the consultation raises the possibility of hidden agendas. Given that Liam is a major figure in Spencer Publishing, and that his survival may change the balance of power in the family business, the price alone, a startling amount that could buy a modest fortune, raises his eyes. In addition to raising the emotional stakes, this arrangement compels people like Bill to balance human life against financial empires, resulting in a story full of moral quandaries. Dr. Grace Buckingham's increasingly questionable behavior, which begs for ulterior motives and moral failings, causes the narrative to take a darker turn. Grace is seen on TV authorizing a large wire transfer using her phone at a covert moment. Her attitude deviates from accepted medical practice by expressing a mixture of delight and concealment. This payment isn't just any one. It's a one-time payment that might easily be used to finance extravagant lifestyles or conceal errors, giving rise to rumors of fraud or bribery. The show's resident medical experts, Finn and Bridget, discuss in hushed tones how this differs from accepted practices, possibly pointing out the lack of peer reviews or required oversight committees that normally protect such high-risk operations, creating a new element to heighten the tension. Let's say Finn discovers encrypted communications between Grace and an unidentified offshore source, implying that she is fabricating the need for the operation in order to enrich herself, maybe even inflating the extent of the tumor based on altered scans. There are many questions. Is Grace transforming the operating table into a high-stakes casino by using Liam's life as a gamble for her own financial gain? Her track record of bold professional decisions, such as a contentious time working at a prominent clinic overseas, only strengthens the belief that she is putting financial gains ahead of the well-being of her patients. Accountability is evident as this plays out, as characters call for openness before the blade touches flesh. The emotional repercussions from the mayhem is evident, especially with Steffi and Hope, whose unfiltered sadness gives the story a devastating dimension. These two strong women, who have often argued over Liam in the past, come together in a flood of grief, their cries reverberating through the hospital hallways as they struggle with the prospect of losing him forever. The personal cost of this medical chaos is highlighted by Steffi, who draws from her own experiences with loss and may be seen holding on to old pictures of their time together, while Hope transforms her suffering into passionate prayers. The prospective hero, however, turns out to be Bill Spencer. His straightforward demeanor set him up to discover the truth. Bill, who is well known for his brutal investigative work in boardroom conflicts, may hire private detectives to follow Grace and hide any inconsistencies in her qualifications or connections to dubious pharmaceutical companies, creating a new twist. Maybe Bill remembers a time when Grace met the Spencer family amid a business controversy, which gave him the opportunity to expose her. There's a serious urgency. Since Helium's health is becoming worse every day, and symptoms like seizures are making everything more complicated, any delay might be fatal. In addition to saving his kid, Bill might stop Grace from taking advantage of other weak patients if he solves the case, transforming this into a more comprehensive exposé of medical corruption in the fictional world of the program. As a result of the digital buzz, fan theories and outcries that reflect the chaos on screen are blossoming on social media. Fans are analyzing every hint, and one watcher claims that Grace's scam will be exposed due to Bill's protective nature, highlighting his readiness to use any and all means to save Liam. Another adds that Grace is the quintessential villain, with her dubious activities perhaps ranking among the most pernicious storylines in the series, generating fan-driven hypotheses to improve the conversation. Some internet detectives suggested that Luna's shooting was not an accident, but rather a component of a wider plot connected to Grace, maybe including a false sickness to control Spencer family property. According to polls on fan sites, Half of the population is hoping for a miracle recovery that will bring Liam back to his loved ones, while the other half is expecting a spectacular takedown of Grace that will rock the hospital to its core. Comments pour in, with one speculating that Bridget's experience may result in a safer alternative therapy, or another implying that Bill might pay for an impartial review of the procedure. This group enthusiasm highlights the soap opera's ability to successfully combine suspense and genuine drama, holding viewers' attention as they question if justice will be served or whether greed will take another victim. One thing is certain when the episodes air. Doubt and desperation are expertly woven into must-watch television in The Bold and the Beautiful.